I'm a single man, so my coworker invited everyone but me to his wedding because single men like me do. A coworker excluded just me from his wedding, and his life became chaotic. I, Jack, a 32-year-old male, have been working at my company for 8 years, with 6 of those years spent on my current team. There are 16 people on our team, and I'd say we're all fairly close. I have a coworker named Tom, a 35-year-old male who joined the team at the same time as I did. During the pandemic, he announced to everyone on a Zoom meeting that he was now engaged. Fast forward to this March, and Tom mentioned that his wedding would be held in November of this year at a gorgeous vineyard. About 5 months ago, the invitations started arriving for everyone on the team, but mine didn't. I waited a few weeks, but nothing came, so I went to Tom and asked if my invite had been sent out. He gave me a regretful look and then told me that I wasn't invited because of a spacing issue. He said he tried to make it work, but just couldn't, and hoped I didn't take it personally. He also said I'd be sure to get wedding favors and a slice of cake. He asked me to keep it to myself and not make a big deal out of it. I honestly didn't know what to say, so I just said okay and walked away. I won't lie, I was upset. I hate feeling left out, and it was doubly worse because everyone else on the team was going except for me. And honestly, I really enjoy weddings. They're usually very fun. I kept it to myself, but wasn't happy. The day of the wedding came 4 weeks ago, and it went by without a hitch. Everyone on my team had a fantastic time and said it was beautiful. The food and party were great as well, and apparently everyone got a dozen fresh apple cider donuts to take home. I never did get that cake or wedding favors, by the way. At work the following Monday, my team member Sarah told me that everyone was confused as to where I was. Apparently Tom said I was sick and couldn't make it. I was confused and then angry. I straight up told her I wasn't invited and left it at that. She looked shocked and asked me to confirm, and I said yes, I wasn't invited. Well, Sarah told someone because about 5 people asked me if I wasn't invited, and I said it was true. Today was Tom's first day back from his honeymoon, and it must have gotten back to him that I spilled the beans. He approached me in the break room, and he was upset that I told Sarah and that it wasn't a big deal I missed the wedding. I said, "How would you like to be excluded from something everyone else is going to?" We went back and forth for a bit before Tom walked away. I was pretty upset, so upset that my project manager came to ask me if I was okay because she heard about me not being invited. I didn't want this to go this far, so I said yes, but other team members came up to me and said that Tom should have invited me, and it was wrong he didn't. Look, I realized that it was his wedding day, and he's allowed to invite who he wants, but I'm allowed to be upset that I wasn't invited, right? So Reddit, am I the jerk for telling people I wasn't invited to the wedding and being upset about it? More info. All my team got +1s. 13 out of 16 people on my team are older and thus married or coupled up. Other than Tom and me, there is a woman aged 27 who was invited and went solo. Now I'm starting to think the wife didn't want me there, but I can't fathom why. We met at a work Christmas party, and all we talked about was Super Mario Maker and Breath of the Wild for 20 minutes. I don't think she could be interested in me. I mean, she did add me online to download some of my levels for SMM, but other than that, I haven't seen or heard from her in 3 years. Maybe she just likes my levels. I'm just as pale as they are and have nothing that makes me stand out. There are other people on my team who are single and were invited, as well as many others at the wedding from what I've seen in pictures. Now, I wouldn't say I'm classically attractive. I'm no Chris Hemsworth, but I'm tall VDJ, 6'4" VD, and I lift, so I have a lean build. To answer everyone's question, I do well in the dating department. I'm straight, if I can say that without sounding like a total self-absorbed jerk, and Tom isn't a bad-looking guy at all. He's shorter than me, but still tall and has excellent conversation skills. I can't imagine he'd feel threatened by me. The reason I don't want to make a big deal out of this is that we work from home 3 days a week, so I don't have to see him that often if I don't want to. Also, I've never had a harsh word with Tom other than this, but I'll definitely keep an eye on how Tom is managing the narrative and be sure to report it to my project manager if anything gets out of hand. Update. Am I the jerk for telling people that I wasn't invited to a wedding? I want to thank you all for the responses, especially for the wedding invites. Well, I have an update to this story, and it took an interesting turn. Tom and I were in the office today. He came to me and asked if we could talk. He asked if we could clear the air over some beers with his wife after work. I said okay. After work, I met Tom and his wife Lily in a bar. They both apologized for not inviting me and making me feel excluded. Tom apologized for lying and getting mad about it. The reason they didn't invite me is that they didn't want single guys at the wedding. They went to a big wedding back in 2019 that was ruined when a bunch of drunk single guys started hitting on the women there. A few of the boyfriends and husbands got pissed, and it turned into a big fight. People were arrested, and it completely ruined the wedding. I found it hard to believe, but they showed me a couple of Facebook videos of them at a wedding, and it looked like a damn Royal Rumble going on. I was even shown a few Facebook statuses confirming their story. Lily said she was sort of traumatized by this and swore they'd have no single guys at their wedding. Well, the wedding came and Lily stuck to her guns. Only family couples, single women, or trusted single men were to be invited. Lily said that there were only about 10 single guys there, and they were all family members or groomsmen. She said the party turned out amazing this way since women didn't have to worry about being hit on. Lily said it truly wasn't personal and that she's so sorry for not inviting me but would do it again. I asked if she and Tom didn't trust me enough to control myself. She said that Tom vouched hard for me, but she was sticking to her guns. The compromise was that she'd have to explain it if anyone asked, and that Tom got to choose the honeymoon destination. Curiously, she said that she had a sister around my age and I was just her type and she wanted to keep her away from me. I was a little offended at that, but she said that it's for my own good. Her sister is a bit of a wild card VDG, her words, not mine of EJ, and she didn't want her to get her hooks in me DJ again, her words. Tom said he should have handled it better and he wanted to be honest, but it wouldn't have made much of a difference, so he hoped I wouldn't mind as much. Plus, he figured I wouldn't want to go to a wedding as a single guy anyway. I told them I was kind of hurt they thought I would act like a creep at their wedding. Lily assured me that she thought I was a nice, smart guy. Funny guy, but she just wanted to ensure their wedding went off without a hitch. They promised to make it up to me, but I told them it wasn't necessary. Lily insisted on it and said I had to know how sorry she was, so we made plans to have dinner at their expense at a very nice restaurant in the city this weekend. So, in the end, I guess it wasn't anything I did, but I still feel kind of insulted. But I guess I get a free dinner out of it. Edit. There are a lot of comments here suggesting that I'm being naive, a doormat, and letting them off easy for basically calling me a creep. I won't lie. I think you all might be right. I do believe in taking the high road on most occasions, but I don't think this should be one of those times. As a side note, I don't believe that wanting to see the best in people or taking them at their word makes you naive. I had a call an hour ago with my project manager and explained the entire situation. She advised me to go to HR and make a complaint since it could lead to a hostile work environment. I have a meeting with them on Monday. I don't really want to make a formal complaint, just have it on file in case anything happens. To be honest, I don't think it will. Tom doesn't seem like that kind of person, but I've been wrong plenty of times before. As for the advice here, I won't be going to dinner with Tom and Lily. I will, however, insist on a public apology that doesn't imply that I'm a creep, and I'm insisting on some fresh apple cider donuts VJ, not store-bought, but fresh. Thank you for making me see the truth, Reddit. Although I'm disappointed I'm turning down some Wagyu steak, so you all owe me one. Ha! Update and more context. Before I get to the update, there are a few things I'd like to clarify and put in context. I got a few posts and DMs asking why I felt entitled to be invited. I want to make it clear I don't feel entitled to anything. Yes, I wanted to be invited, but as I said, if they had been honest with me from the beginning, I wouldn't have minded as much. They were allowed to do what they wanted on their wedding day. My problem was the subterfuge used to mask their choice. I have never talked to Tom about women, ever. We didn't have that kind of relationship. None of the men on the team do. I think the women do it among themselves, but I can't be sure about it. I'm choosing to believe Lily about her experience dealing with men. Lily had to turn away some of her single guy friends, and Tom had a ton of guy friends who wanted to go but were turned away. Lily and some of her friends had very bad experiences being hit on at clubs, and Lily wanted to ensure their safety. She got the idea to exclude guys from going to women-only clubs. The wedding Royal Rumble happened at the wedding of one of her closest friends. The friend and her husband were devastated. Their wedding was ruined. As for me, it was 70, 30 on me being invited. It came down to that Lily didn't know me at all outside of my superb Super Mario Maker level design. Tom really fought hard for me, but Lily was too unsure, and then she remembered her sister. According to Lily, although she loves her sister to death, her sister is a huge flirt and goes from guy to guy with the change of the wind. Apparently, I'm dangerously her type, and she would have been all over me. Tom said it would look horrible if I wasn't invited. That's when she came up with the compromise of taking the heat for it. He was just hoping that I wouldn't mind not going. Maybe I'm naive, but I'm choosing to believe Tom about feeling horrible about not inviting me. He seemed really broken up about it. Either he's a damn good actor or he's truly remorseful. Good actor, or he's telling the truth. He acknowledged that the way he handled it was terrible. According to him, there was no way of doing this that wasn't awkward. As for why he lied, apparently he panicked and couldn't think of anything better. His getting mad at me for not going along with it wasn't necessarily about me, but being mad at Lily for putting him in that situation. He promised to make a full apology in front of the team when we're all together in the office again in a few weeks. Lily did say that she felt terrible about me and the other guys she had to exclude, but she would do it again to ensure the safety of the women around her. She was extremely insistent on making it up to me. She said that we should be friends going forward and offered a nice home-cooked meal to be followed by some wine and a round of Mario Kart. I turned that down. That's when the expensive restaurant solution was offered. I accepted because it seemed like a fair compromise at the time. They didn't even have to really apologize for it, but they were offering me dinner, so I took it. In hindsight, I shouldn't have, but at that point I just wanted to get out of there and go home. Now for the update. After reading the comments calling me a doormat, I decided not to accept their dinner offer. I called Tom on his work phone to explain my change of heart. He was disappointed but understood my reasoning. I parroted some of the talking points, and he said he understood. He wouldn't make a big deal out of it, and we could just move on. I thanked him for being cool about it, and he hung up. I thought that would be the end of it, but not 5 minutes later, Tom calls me back. I groan and pick up. Surprisingly, it was Lily on the other side. She didn't come at me hostile, but she did sound upset. She wanted to know why I didn't want to come anymore. I explained what I told Tom about how they basically insisted I was a creep. I told her I didn't want to invalidate her experiences, but I didn't have to accept being told I'm a potential sexual predator. She said that she didn't mean it like that and that she thinks I'm a good person but couldn't risk it for her wedding. She was practically begging me to meet her in person to clear the air further. She kept on saying that we could be the best of friends if I'd give her a chance to explain better. I said no thanks, and that I had to go, but I'm sorry that she went through what she went through. I ended the call by saying, "By the way, I didn't even get those donuts." I then hung up. It's been quiet since then, but Tom is back in the office on Monday, and I fear Lily might do something drastic. I hope this thing is over, but I fear it might not be. In any case, I'll update if anything happens. Bob's Drunken Confession Update. Hey everyone, so as I mentioned in my last update, I reached out to Tom and explained that I wouldn't be taking him and Lily up on their weekend dinner offer. He was disappointed, but agreed with me. Lily called me back a few minutes later and fought hard to keep the plans. I declined and left it at that, hoping that would be the end of it. It wasn't, and now this silly drama continues. I went in 2 hours early on Monday so that I could potentially avoid a chat with Tom after work. Surprisingly, Tom came in an hour early, lining him up to potentially leave with me. Tom looked exhausted, and I don't mean tired, I mean mentally drained. I've seen Tom tired. We've worked many late nights on projects together. I've seen him hungover. This wasn't any of that. I almost can't describe it, VJ. He looked worn down. He shot me a nod, and I gave him one back, and we got to work. I kept my meeting. With HR. Our HR rep is a wonderful lady named Sally. I told Sally the whole story, and she said that in her 19 years of HR work, she's never heard a more ridiculous story. We shared a good laugh, and she told me that it would be unofficially logged just in case Tom or Lily did anything crazy. She told me she thinks Tom is harmless, but to keep my eyes sharp. The rest of the day was uneventful. The most interesting thing that happened was that I saw Tom's face buried in his hands for a good minute or so. With 2 hours to go, I went to the break room for some water. Tom followed me in and approached cautiously. I gave him a surprised look, and he just threw up his hands as if to say he was not hostile. He said he knows I'm the last person he wants to talk to right now, but he needs to talk to me. I said fine, but I angled us over to where the security camera was. Paraphrasing here, but he said, "Look, I won't ever speak to you again if you don't want me to, but let me buy you around and explain all of the things Lily didn't tell you when we met the other day." Tom sounded desperate, something I'd never seen from him before. He then hit me with the money quote. "Look, man, I could really use a friend right now, and I've always considered you a friend." Well, sorry to disappoint everyone here, but I'm a big gullible softy. I agreed to talk with him, but I told him that there would be absolutely no more meetings on this situation after this. He agreed and said he'd meet me after work. After work, we walked to our usual bar, the same one I met him and Lily at the first time. I suspected Lily might be there, but she wasn't. Nevertheless, I kept my eye open for her. Once we sat down, Tom apologized yet again. This one seemed even more genuine than the first. I told him he didn't need to keep apologizing. I got it the first time. He said that he had to apologize because there's a lot more to the story about the wedding than I thought. Tom explained that he fought Lily like hell to get her to give up the single men's exclusion, but she was dead set on it. They argued for months, and a lot of people offered different solutions. Tom suggested a smaller wedding with only immediate family and friends, but Lily shot that down. She always dreamt of a big wedding with lots of people there, and a small wedding didn't fit her dream. Her parents said, "Why not hire a security guard?" Lily said that she wanted the possibility eliminated completely. She said that a few single men could stand to not be invited to a party for once in their lives. Tom said he had a lot of friends who wanted to come and that they would be hurt if they weren't invited. Lily said she was making sacrifices too. A lot of her guy friends wanted to come. Tom finally relented and said if the exclusion were to happen, he wanted nothing to do with that decision and wanted it known that it was out of his hands. Lily said she'd take the heat for it if it came to that, but didn't think people would go crazy over it. She also gave Tom the choice of their honeymoon destination since he was making a big sacrifice. They went to the French Riviera, if anyone is curious. Tom said the wedding reception and party were amazing. He said that so many women there were drunk off their asses and falling over themselves. Apparently, they did feel safe, but a drunk vocal minority was complaining about the lack of hot guys to dance with. Tom even laughed because one of them was going around calling it a lesbian wedding since there were only women there. Oh, and some women were absolutely hitting on the handful of single guys there, but Lily didn't mind that as much. Tom said he wasn't rubbing it in, just setting up a point. After the honeymoon, they came home to what Tom described as a post-wedding mess, described as a PR firestorm. Apparently, Lily had lied to her guy friends about why they weren't invited. One of her close friends let slip the real reason they weren't invited, and they were absolutely furious. She was flooded with angry calls and messages from her friends about Lily essentially calling them potential sexual predators. Lily explained her position multiple times to her friends, but it fell on deaf ears. She has lost many friends over this. One of the guys said, "If you think that I'm a rapist, then why the heck are we even friends?" Lily has been crying for days, and her work life has become terrible. She might even need to leave her job. By this point, Tom had a few hard drinks and was tipsy, so he let loose a little more. He said that her decision had cost him friends of his own. Many of his guy friends were furious to learn they were excluded and for the reason why. On the day of the wedding, about 6 or so of his closest friends who were excluded decided to go on a fishing trip as a screw you to Tom and Lily. The cherry on top of the petty cake was they decided to donate $500 and some items to a local women's shelter. Tom was devastated, and none of those guys are returning his calls or messages. Even their families are upset with them over the exclusion. Lily's parents are publicly supportive, but chastise her behind the scenes. She doesn't have anyone but her bridesmaids and about 3 other friends who believe in her cause. Tom said at one point that Lily was hysterical and screaming, "Why can't anyone just understand my point of view?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but there was more to this crazy story. At this point, we were about an hour in and Tom was nice and tipsy, so I pried for more information. Tom said that at first, Lily was sticking to her guns that the exclusion was a good idea, but she was starting to waver a little bit. She said that most people understood where she was coming from, but that it was too heavy-handed and even a little sexist. Tom and Lily have had multiple blow-ups over this whole situation, and they're not in a good place right now. He said that instead of feeling giddy about his new wife and basking in the glow of being married, he's harboring a ton of resentment towards her because she's cost him a lot of his friends and ruined their lives over a stupid party. As for me, apparently, Lily really likes me. One of her biggest regrets about this entire situation is not getting to know me better before the wedding. He said that Lily thinks I'm one of the coolest people she's ever met. I asked Tom how she made that determination from a 15-minute chat, and he laughed and said, "I don't know, man, she probably has a crush on you or something." I laughed, but that made the situation a little bit weird. As for Lily's sister, she is a free spirit, but not in the way you might think. Tom explained that Lily's sister, Emily, is by all accounts a very smart, successful, respectful woman who just happens to love sex. Bob explained that Emily is really into the kink scene and is into things like ethical non-monogamy. She frequently mentions her adventures to Tom and Lily, and it got them into the lifestyle as well. I was a little surprised and asked for clarification, and he said, "Yeah, she kinda got us into some of that stuff." I was shocked, DJ. I mean, how often do you hear that your coworker is into BDSM? But hey, no kink shaming from me. So it turns out that Emily isn't some out-of-control succubus. She's just a regular woman who loves sex. Tom said that Lily was scared that we would hit it off. We share many of the same interests and have similar personality types. According to Tom, Lily wasn't lying about that, nor about me being exactly her type. She likes tall guys, and apparently I'm her ideal. From what I've heard, she would have been all over me if she found out I was single. Well, now I was curious, so I asked Tom if he had a picture. He pulled up her Instagram, and I must say she was damn gorgeous. She looked like Lily's twin, only she was a little bit thicker. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty pissed at Lily all over again, LOL. Tom said that Lily has always been a little jealous of Emily. I don't know why VJ Lily is a stunner herself and looks just like Emily. Tom said that as a fun twist to Lily, he'd give Emily my Instagram so we can DM each other, and he'd put in a good word for me. I thanked him profusely, LOL. He said that Lily was so desperate to make amends with me because I made a big impression on her, and she thinks that we'd be really good friends if we hung out. Tom said that she was just grasping at straws at this point, VJJ. She's lost all of her friends, and she wanted to make another one. He said that he'd rein Lily in so that she wouldn't bother me anymore. By this point, Tom was more than tipsy. He said that he's having doubts about this marriage because the wedding process and aftermath have been a nightmare. He thinks it'd be really shallow to divorce her over this, but his life has been ruined by her choices. I was shocked, and he said, "Don't tell Lily, please." I swore that I wouldn't tell her anything. Tom paid for our drinks and was going to take public transportation home, but I told him he needed an Uber. He fought me on that, but I insisted, and he agreed to take one. I put him in the Uber and sent him on his way. An hour later, Lily texted me from his work phone. She told me, "Thank you for taking care of my hubby. You're a good person." I didn't respond, and that brings us to now. I hope that this is mostly the end of it. But it seems like Lily might be desperate and do something rash. In any case, I'll keep you folks updated. New update, a date with Emily. Hey everyone, nothing major has happened, but I have a small update. Tom was true to his word and gave Emily my Instagram. She messaged me last week and we got to talking. The conversation went so well that we agreed on a coffee date this past weekend. Well, sorry to disappoint the naysayers here, but the date went extremely well. We talked about a lot, VGJ, our hobbies, interests, futures, jobs, and families. Tom was right. We are remarkably similar, even down to some of our specific food tastes. The date went so well that we met at a bar next to her office for some after-work drinks. And yes, that date went amazing as well. Now, here's the part I think you're all going to like. We're going to do a hike this coming weekend, and along the way, we're going to make a stop at the winery where Tom and Lily had their wedding and pick me up some goddamn apple cider donuts. I think if all goes well with this date, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. She just feels special. So, that's it. I'll let you know how that hike date goes, but honestly, I think this situation is mostly settled now. Tom has been keeping his distance but hooked me up, and Lily hasn't been in contact with me for a week now. After the hike, it'll probably be my last post. I don't intend on milking this thing for unnecessary drama. Thanks all. Update 4. The final chapter. Hey all, I want to thank you all for sticking with me through this crazy saga and also for the congratulations on getting with Emily. It means a lot. Now, on to the update. As I mentioned last time, Emily and I had met and had gone on a few dates. She's truly an amazing woman. She's smart, funny, driven, and very nice. I'm absolutely smitten with this girl, LOL. Well, we had a hike this past Saturday and it was fantastic. Beyond amazing. The weather was perfect, the foliage was beautiful, and the view from the top of the mountain was incredible. We had a picnic at the top, and during a lull in the conversation, I summoned all of my courage and asked her if she'd like to be my girlfriend. I was waiting for a more opportune time, but I guess I just got swept up in the moment and the view. She smiled, laughed, and said I was the corniest person alive for asking in such a cliche place, but she said that she loved corny and cliche. She said yes, and we sealed it with a kiss. On our way back, we finally stopped by the winery where Tom and Lily had their wedding, and man, it really was beautiful. It had panoramic views of the mountains, and the vineyard was very pretty. But I wasn't there for the view. I was there for some goddamn apple cider donuts. Funny enough, we got there kind of late and almost missed the fresh donuts for the day. Thankfully, we got some of the last batches. God, those donuts were absolutely delicious. We got 2 dozen each and even got some apple-filled cider donuts. The wait was worth it. Afterward, we went back to her apartment and made dinner together. I've never had such an amazing date with a woman. It was just perfect. I didn't want to leave, but I couldn't be presumptuous. When I picked up my keys to go, she grabbed them from me and said, and I quote, "If you seriously think you're leaving, then you're out of your effing mind." I must have had the biggest smile on my face. So we spent the rest of the weekend together. We had a wonderful Sunday brunch and a nice walk around our city, holding hands, going into stores and sightseeing. Unfortunately for me, we had to part last night because we had work in the morning. I was damn near in tears. This is going to sound dramatic as hell, but I've spent the last few hours at work being totally miserable that I'm not with Emily. It's like when you're in high school and you get your first boyfriend, girlfriend, and you can't stand to be apart from each other. But you don't want sappy love stories, you're here for the drama. Well, Emily and I made it Instagram official on Sunday, and apparently Lily saw it on her sister's profile. She texted Emily on Sunday night asking how we met. Emily said, "Tom introduced us." Lily only replied with, "I knew this would happen." We figured that might mean trouble down the road, but we don't care. Lily can be as mad as she wants. This morning, I actually went up to Tom and thanked him for introducing me to Emily. He explained that he and Lily had a huge fight over him introducing us. He said he didn't care about it, though DJ it was worth it just to get us together and was a big screw you to Lily. I told him I'd buy him around as a thank you, but he said, "Don't worry about it. It was the least I could do." So that's it for this update. I'd like to hope that this is the end, but Lily seems pretty upset with us being together. Either way, I'm just so happy with Emily. She's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of person, and rest assured I'll update if anything further happens. Peace and love.